What he said one more time, it's your boy Guapodamus and a Tuesday at the top of the world. I got my man Mr. LP with me. Say what's up, bro. It's been a while.
Fan, what it is, what it do, it is your boy, bro. Mr. LP representing that 4luvofboxing like I always do. Let's get right into it on a Tuesday.
Yeah, man. Tuesday topic of it is. All right, we're going straight into it. Give me your top 5 Latin American fighters, any country, all time. We can start at number 5. I already know which way I'm going, so let's see what you got.
Top 5 all time?
All time. Top 5 Latin American fighters all time, any country given. I'll start you off. For me, at number 5, Canelo Alvarez, represented Mexico for a whole generation as pound for pound, carried the sport, carried boxing. Number 5, most influential, best Latin American fighter I've seen in my time. Number 5 for me, Canelo Alvarez. Go ahead.
I'm going to have to go with the babyface assassin, Marco Antonio Barrera. He produced some of the greatest fights that we've all witnessed growing up, man.
He had some of the greatest performances, man. His performance against the Prince.
Dog.
Yeah, he faced everybody. Had a couple humongous wins against big people, too, man. Win against the Prince. The only man who put it on the Prince.
The only man that put it on that ass.
Put it on Morales. You know, it's weird because of the Morales trilogy, bro. The way it kind of started, the fight I thought he won, he actually lost on the scorebooks. And the fight I thought he lost, he actually won, man. It was so weird for me.
The fucking judges, man, on some goofy shit, but they were like, oh, yeah, we fucked up. We got to throw this dog a bone.
So I see my man went babyface assassin Mexican style. For my number 4, I'm going babyface assassin Puerto Rican style. Felix Tito Trinidad, the babyface assassin out of Puerto Rico at number 4. Trinidad carried the sport at one point too, man. Was pound for pound at one point the best fighter in the world. His reign at pound for pound was a lot shorter than a lot of other people's on this list, but he also had the distinction of saying he fought everybody. It was not absolutely anybody Trinidad wasn't willing to fight. Go ahead, my man. I know you don't like the Puerto Ricans, but I went that way.
You know what's funny, though? I actually got a Puerto Rican at number 4 for myself, dog.
That's probably who I have at 3.
It ain't the same one, but an all-time great, one of the biggest punchers of all time, Wilfredo Gomez.
Oh, Wilfredo Gomez.
Gomez was him. He was, I believe, 51-0 with 50 knockouts before he took on a man. And if you don't mind me kind of piggybacking on, when he took on the man, no, I'm not going to go there yet, because he took on a man that I do have in my top 3. But we'll go from there, okay?
All right. Look,
Gomez is a great fighter. By the way, Puerto Rican, and he's in my...
Look, we're heavy Puerto Rican right now. The last 2 picks, I'm going to keep that Puerto Rican heavy-leaning thing going, bro. No. For me, Hector Macho Camacho was a humongous fighter out of Latin America, bro. Camacho was next level when it came to that boxing, to the reflexes, everything that it was to be a puncher boxer. To me, Camacho had it, bro. He could move. He could move as good as any of the dope-ass boxers you see of any era, but he had a punch to go with it. So to me, Camacho breaks my top 3 at 3. My top 2 can't. Listen, it is what it is, but that's where it's at influential for me. I know. At home right now, there's a lot of people that wait. Oh shit, he just went Camacho. There's a lot of haters on Camacho too, bro.
No, you better ask somebody. Yeah. He's got freaking documentaries. He's got series.
Shit, pull up a career, man. He did what he did.
In my opinion, top 25 greatest of all time. He's that freaking high up on my list. And just so you guys have a gauge in regards to where I put him in for my personal list. Mayweather. You know, a lot of you fanboys out there. Mayweather's in the top 50.
Yeah.
Give him that. He's an all-time great, and that's no disrespect. But a great fighter like Hector Macho Camacho, definitely top 25. All-time great. And I'm not going to change my freaking stance where I'm going with this, but wow.
You should have. If you don't have Camacho in your top 5 of Latin American fighters, you tripping, bro. Anyway, continue. Who's in your top 3? Let's hear it, because that starts my top 3.
Number 3, I got to go with none other than the all-time great Salvador Sanchez, whom beat Wilfredo Gomez in an epic war. They was banging each other out until he knocked his silly ass out. He also beat Juan Laporte. He also beats Little Red Lopez twice. He also beat the Professor Azuma Nelson, all before he turned 25 years old. The boxing world lost him shortchanged because he loved and was in the need for speed and died in a car accident at a very young, tender age of 25 years old. And the fact that he's that high ranked in the boxing freaking all-time great list can only freaking make anybody that follows the sport imagine what if he would have stuck around 10 years in the game. My goodness, what an all-time great.
My Uncle Joe Rosales, big shout out to the Rosales family, but my Uncle Joe Rosales, he always told me, man, Salvador Sanchez was the best he ever saw. Regardless of anybody you throw into that mix, Salvador Sanchez was the man. For me, I don't want to piss off people that are listening at home, though.
You know who else actually said he was the most perfect fighter that they ever seen?
Was it your pops?
Actually, that's in the top two. We got, but no, the great Roy Jones Jr.
Oh yeah.
Jones Jr.
He just said the great.
Sanchez.
You see that?
Roy Jones is great.
He just look.
He's not.
Yes. Awesome. Admit it. Thank you. Say it one more time for the cameras, baby.
The great Roy Jones.
Thank you. Thank you very much for admitting that. Yes. Listen. We're going into the top two now. My apologies to the Mexican fight fans out there because I will not. I will not include Salvador Sanchez in my top five because I didn't live through that era, so I wasn't a fan yet of the sport. So I'm only going. I'm just going through the people I saw fight. Right. Also, big shout out to the Argentinian people for Carlos Monzon. But like I said, I didn't see it, so I can't comment on something I didn't see with my own eyes that way, you know? Or at least through my era when I lived it properly, you know what I mean? So at number 2, el gran campeón mexicano, Julio Cesar Chavez. I look, for me, skill-wise, coming up, if you're talking about best little dude ever, he would put it on anybody.
Man, he was him, bro.
When he was in his prime, bro, unbeatable. He was supernatural. It was something else, bro.
87-0 or 88-0?
89-0, bro. 89-0 before he ever had I think it was the draw with Whitaker, right? Which was the first blemish. And then
91 when he lost
Frankie Randall. Yeah, man. Incredible because nobody could say they were Chavez was ducking this dude or ducking that. He ducked nobody. He was like, line up, I'll take everybody.
So
get in line.
So this is gonna be a nice 5-minute debate right here. What we're about to get into.
Well, it's a throwback for me though, man.
Hey, but hold on, listen, my guy. I'm gonna make my pick right now for you right now.
Go for it, bro.
And I already know what it is because I knew they were gonna fluctuate between the both of us. I already knew 100%. For me, at number 2, and arguably top 5 greatest fighter of all fucking time, and there's a reason why I put him in this place, and we'll talk about this when I get my...
There is a reason why you're putting him there.
None other than Hands of Stone, Roberto Duran, Panama, Central American, one of the greatest fighters who lived to fight 4 decades. 4 fucking decades, damn near 40 plus years of excellency with a record of like, I don't know it exactly, but it's like 120 something, with maybe like 16 L's and stuff. But when you took on every single person that have relevance in the fucking game and in your division, that screams freaking all-time great status. And he's one of the greatest fighters that ever fucking lived, man, ever. And go right here. I know you're picking back right off of that.
I have at 1. The greatest lightweight champion of all time, Roberto Mano de Piedra Duran. Explain to them why you don't have him at 1. Go ahead. Who you have at 1, by the way?
My number 1 is the great El Gran Campeón Julio Cesar Chavez. And if I may...
Explain, because I have an explanation point.
So, I'm going to give you the long story short. So, this is who I grew up with. And he single-handedly is the person that made me become a hardcore boxing fan. March 17th, 1990, when he knocked out Magic Taylor with 2 seconds left. It was the first time my young heart ever understood what love was. Not for him, not for Taylor, not for the announcers, because everything was epic on that night. For the sport of boxing, my heart grew, and I've never turned back since.
That was the first time your heart ever felt it?
Single him. And this, mind you, I saw the month before Buster Douglas making history, knocking out Mike Tyson.
What was fight of the year before?
The year before? Oh, that's a good question, bro. You caught me off the fly on that one. But that was fight of the year, just for the record.
That was fight of the year. But the year before, it was another fight that was fight of the year.
Was it Jose Luis Ramirez and Juan Laporte?
I actually think it was Iran Barkley, Roberto Duran. The year before.
Oh, I think you're right. It could have been 88 or 89.
Either way, I'm sure you watched that.
Absolutely.
So I will say that you saying that the Chavez fight with Melvin Taylor was the first time you felt it. Full of shit. I know you watched that. Roberto Duran turned back the clock against Iran Barkley.
Don't get it twisted. I was watching boxing at this point, right? I watched James Lights Out Tony knock out Michael second to none.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I watched Tyson do his thing. I watched Chavez do his thing plenty. I watched Chavez fucking do his thing plenty. Dude, you're right. There's just so much great boxing during that time, and he gets a big knock for it. But shout out to King Vision, Don King Productions, because he gave us the best fights. But
he did. He would give the best cards, bro. Here though, I will share with you what's going on here for everybody at home who's listening. I will share to you guys what's actually going on here, right? The name who falls is number 2 at Mr. LP's all-time Latin American ranking is Roberto Duran. And he only falls at number 2 because he's Central American. If he were Mexican born, he would be number 1 on that list. I said what I said. There's a Central American bias.
You something else. But
his pops, who doesn't believe it. His pops who don't believe in that bias. Roberto Duran,
that's what I was going to share. So I need you guys to understand this. I wasn't even a teenager when that fight took place. But growing up, my entire life till this day, my father, my jefe, my pops, Roberto Duran is him for my pops. And I have spent countless nights, drunk nights too, getting loud and aggressive and pleading our case regarding why we feel that one or the other, Chavez or Duran, was the best Latino fighter of all time. And my dad still stands to his fucking post that Duran was him.
I don't...
He always brings up the fact, and I get it, he was the Fab Four. He was the only Latino in the Fab Four during the era where the black fighters, and please excuse me because I'm not trying to be freaking go to that point, but I'm just sharing what it is. That's when the black fighters came in with their super slick boxing skills, hit, not get hit, bomb moving. A lot of motherfuckers talking about fucking bitching and crying about freaking running and this and that. But you had a lot of slick fighters in there. And some of those guys within that circle were guilty of it, mainly Sugar Ray Leonard. But then you also had beasts like Marvin Hagler.
That's the crazy part for me, bro. That's the crazy part for me, because to me that's my very first memory that I have in my conscious memory of watching boxing was Marvin Hagler versus Roberto Duran. I remember as a kid seeing it and going, damn, I thought Roberto Duran just won that fight, not realizing everything that went into thinking if Roberto Duran won or not. And now watching it back and seeing it as an adult, I could see where people had Hagler winning that fight. I also seen nobody give Hagler problems the way Duran gave it to him. And that includes the Sugar Ray fight. Yep. To me, Hagler was just too arrogant for his own good in the Sugar Ray fight. He decided to fight that shit.
Coasted too easy.
Coasted too easy, and then he fought it backwards. Like, at first,
because he had no fear.
Yeah, but having no fear doesn't win you rounds.
And I'll give you this. Ironically, he had a lot of respect for Roberto Duran. And that fight was close-knitted. Man. So I want to give a couple honorary mentions. So obviously, number 1, number 2. I know it's gonna always be a debate for a lot of Latino
It is, man. It's a good Tuesday drive because it provides so much banter. When you get into that top 5 list of Latino fighters, man, there's so many fighters that are out there that could be on that list. So it does, man.
I want to get 2 honorary mentions, though, okay? And they just missed the list because they can, in any freaking given day, I could actually probably add them on depending on how I feel. I'm gonna start off with the great Juan Manuel Marquez. I think one of the greatest counterpunchers of all time, and also provided one of the greatest knockouts of all time when he slept the great Manny Pacquiao. It doesn't get any bigger and better than that. And that wasn't the defining moment of his career because he had a legendary, fantastic career. And on top of that, although he was a monster in the freaking ring, he was also a monster outside of it. But you can't take away his legacy and his greatness that what he accomplished. And that goes to Argentina's great Carlos Monzon. And in my opinion, the greatest middleweight fighter that ever fucking lived. And that even surpasses Triple G, Gennady Golovkin. Carlos Monzon was something special. He went on a rampage of like 75 fights with 0 losses. And we're talking about during the time of the 60s and 70s where there was only one champion. There was only one bout, only one ranking system. So he took on the fucking gauntlet of the absolute best of the best fighters that fucking existed during his era. It wasn't like that fighter wasn't ranked up somewhere else and he disappeared and he had to deal with them. That shit didn't fly back then. He took on everybody, dog. And if you guys haven't got a chance to see it, he does have, well, there is a documentary about him on Netflix. And yes, if you don't speak Spanish, they do got, subtitles, but it's epic. And
I have some honorable mentions myself,
bro. It shows you that he's a monster. It depicts how the police in his country they walked on freaking thin ice for this guy because
he was a god, bro.
He basically put Argentina on the map during that time frame, but he was a fucking monster.
Listen, I have some honorable mentions myself, right? And props to Monzon. I can't take nothing away from what Monzon accomplished. Like I said, for me, the only reason I didn't have Salvador Sanchez or Monzon on that list is because I technically never watched one of their fights live. And for me, for that list, I have to have watched at least a couple of their fights live, to that level, right? First off, for me, man, one of the greatest Latin American fighters that's ever fought to me, and people are going to say I go local with it, but it is what it is. If you saw Carvajal do his deal here, then you know how great he was at one point, right? He makes the top 10 for me. He doesn't make the top 5. Yeah. All my top 5 fighters at one point were the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. That's the reason why I went with that list. That's why my list was what it was.
You're talking about Little Hands of Stone.
But Little Hands of Stone, Michael Carvajal, and also makes this list for me.
Arguably the greatest featherweight
would be
of all time.
Would be my honorable mention, right?
I love
it. That would be one. Probably a much bigger mention for me, even though same era. Ricardo Lopez, man, undefeated. El Finito Lopez, man, excellent fighter. He was, man, he's in the conversation for Mexico's greatest fighter. So that tells you where he's at with it, right?
It's not fair because I think his size is what handicapped him regarding his exposure.
Yeah.
Because he was an excellent fighter. Now, although Don King knew what he had, but he was buried in the undercards. He was, man. And unfortunately, because of his weight size. Yeah, man. So that's the unfortunate part for him, right? And then my last honorable mention, and like I said, for me, it was very close because it had to have been a pound-for-pound fighter at some point in their career. It's Chocolatito, man. Chocolatito did his deal. He would be number 6 on my list if I was to keep it real, right? He's right on that cusp. Just Canelo held the title of pound-for-pound for longer and did more for the sport when it came to the economics. That's the only reason I have Canelo at 5. I very easily could switch up and have Chocolatito there. With me about this, and I want to remind you and all you guys listening.
He's gonna remind me why that bias for Central Americans exists. Like
Chocolatito Gonzalez.
Yes.
To me, was pound for pound #1 fighter on the planet. During the time everybody was swinging on Floyd Mayweather's ass and thinking that he was him, he wasn't. Mayweather wasn't fighting the most freaking toughest competition. Chocolatito was knocking out, Hawaiian Punch. He was knocking out Ivan Calderon. All fellow all-time greats. And the fact that
he didn't duck nobody. That it can be spoken because if he would have just ducked Sorvengasai twice, then he'd still be undefeated right now. I'm just saying.
And giving respect where it's due. You mentioned Sorvengasai, Chocolatito. Jesus Estrada, he's not on that
Chocolatito
list
beat him 3 times. I said what I said.
They had their own Fab Four.
They did.
Excellent.
Did. Shout out to them fools for getting it done, man.
They all come from different spectrums, Brandon. My goodness. And they delivered.
No, listen. This whole shit about people actually not fighting each other or not having a Fab Four since the 80s is also a little bit with myth in it, bro. There have been at some points in some divisions where those people that were at the top went at it, bro. That one was it. I can think of in the 90s when De La Hoya, Trinidad, Whittaker all went at it, bro. So nobody ducked nobody then either. So you know what I mean? There have been times and eras where it's happened, bro.
My thing is this, though. There was.
I don't even play it because some people will say this is not a real thing, but I'll even tell you Lennox Lewis didn't duck nobody, bro. Some people will say he'd been in there because he didn't have the resume quite to some other cats' levels, but he didn't duck nobody. That's real shit. That's real talk. So to me, sometimes when I hear people say it hasn't been that era since the 80s, since they got down like that, bullshit. Man, yeah. There's been some fighters that are throwback fight. Triple G ducked nobody. Triple G went right through everybody and said, who the fuck wants next? And everybody said, everybody was like Red's dad on next Friday and shit. They was like, you want next? No. Is what they would say, and then they'd go on to somebody else. That was it. Nobody wanted another Triple G. Straight up, boy. Listen, and that'll play back upon when we tap back in with you on the next Tuesday. But for this Tuesday, I hope you guys had fun with this banner. I hope you guys weigh in with your own list. Yep. And I hope we do everybody a little bit of justice with the list that we provided. It is what it is.
Y'all do us a favor and chime in. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know what you think about the picks. And if you feel like you want to debate, go ahead and chime in and let us know who you think should be filling in those slots. Talk to us, man.
Man, and if you got a topic, you want us to cover, weigh in with that topic too. We'll be covering it in the future for you too. But there it is. It's your boy Guapodamus on a Tuesday.
4luvofboxing,
exclusively, baby. And we out. Yeah.